Hello and welcome to another episode of Trailblazers Rising. I am your host, Melanie, and I'm so excited to bring to you my special guest today, Amanda. She is an expert in plant medicine, which is a topic that I have been deep diving and rabbit holing into more and more and more on my own healing journey as a neurodivergent woman entrepreneur. So, Amanda, say hello to everybody. Everybody say hello to Amanda.
Hi, guys. So excited to be here. And then, let's just expand some minds together. Let's do it.
Absolutely. So, as a psychedelic integration coach, which is a mouthful and fantastic, especially from like an entrepreneur perspective, my business partner, Christina, would be very proud of you. We say this to all the people in the Neurospicy Academy too. Your name and your title don't have to tell people exactly what it is you do. It just has to make people interested and go, hey, what's happening with that? So, how do you explain to the peoples that are listening what it is that you do?
Absolutely. Thank you. So many years ago, about 9 now, was my first really trans experience with a medicine called Ibogaine that helped me to heal not only from my addiction, but a ton of like different mental health disorders. And the one thing that I noticed afterwards was I didn't really have anybody to talk to that had been through what I had experienced, especially at that level. And so I had to spend a really long time as an experiential learner doing the wrong things to learn the right things to do, but decided that ultimately what I wanted to do was help people to integrate these really transformative psychedelic journeys into their life so they don't have to do the stumbling and falling the same way I did. So I work with a few different medicine retreats, a few different Ibogaine clinics in Mexico. I also am linked up with some ketamine infusion clinics here in the US because it's a legal medicine here, as well as running my own retreats. I am also a medicine woman as well. So I get to help people with the medicine and then after the medicine.
That's so interesting. I love to connect with medicine people, medicine women, medicine men, that sort of stuff, because I was always told that I am a healer. And the idea of, shamanism and all of that has always come up. But my spirit guides have always directed me more towards what's the word I'm looking for? A unique space that I have to carve out myself to help the specific people that I'm meant to help. And it's not about, and as a person who's familiar with psychedelics, you understand too, the labels that we need in this world is such an earthly response to our spiritual journey here. So if you're ever out there and wondering what your labels are and where do you fit and what do you do, just know that the labels are not nearly as important as the energy and the mood and your ability. Yeah. The mindset behind masking that really resonated with me and cut me like a knife, and I make sure to remind my clients of it all the time, is that masking is emotional manipulation. You are trying to pretend to be something that you're not to take care of somebody else's emotional needs. And that's fucking responsibility. Not at all. So if I make somebody uncomfortable, this happened to me the other day. I went to the gas station. And the gas station. I don't want to put my gas. Somebody moved me to New Jersey, so I don't put my own gas. I'm standing there, and it was one of they're all single pumps. So it's not one of the big gigantic stations, and they're all on an angle. So there's, 10 pumps, one here, one on the other side, one here, one on the other side. And I'm at the very end one, and I am a hyper vigilant asshole. I'm not here for any man to talk to me. I'm not here for anybody to come up to me. Don't come near me. I have PDA autism. If you take away my autonomy, I will fucking attack you. And I assume everybody out in the world is here to hurt me in some way, shape, or form, just so I can go about my day with people leaving me alone, right? I'm not here to help you with your fucking problems. I have enough people who I'm helping go through that. I'm not here for your shit. And this man pulled up behind my vehicle in a big ass truck with his window down, staring at me with his mouth open. And I have my shades on. I have my headphones on because I don't go anywhere without my protection. The world is too over. And I'm staring at my car with the pump behind me because, you can see more in the reflection of the car than you can not. And I just turn and look at him to like let him know I can see him. And he's staring at me with his window down. I said, "No other pumps open?" And he goes, and like looked, and he goes, "No." And I said, "Okay." And he goes, "I'm not in a rush." I said, "I'm not either." And I just continued to fucking stare at him to be like, "Yo, bro, what are you doing here? I know I'm a hot piece of what. Get away from me." Right? So when it comes to psychedelics, the reason that we love them so much scientifically is because they really aid in something called the. So can you explain to all of the beautiful angels who are, well, the moral of that story is when I left the gas station, I made this conscious decision in my brain. I said, I can ruminate on this and I can let this piss me off and I can call my girlfriend. I can tell her about this. I can tell my husband about it tonight when I get home. I'm going to say, this motherfucker didn't know what he was doing. He doesn't know his head from his ass. People can only understand you at the level they understand themselves. And he just thought he saw a hot pink haired bitch with a great ass pumping some gas and he was going to get close to her. So I had that moment where I was like, all right, we can let this ruin our fucking day, or we can just continue on about our day and not take heed. And that's because of all the work I've done on mindset and neuroplasticity. But when you include psychedelics in that equation, what happens? It removes that physical resistance in your brain and those pathways of where, we walk the same path. We're literally, what's his name? Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this. 90% of the decisions you make every day are the exact same that you made yesterday. And as a person with autism and ADHD, I can tell you that 50% of me wants sameness and 50% of me is like, bitch, it better be different today because I get bored and then bad decisions are going to be made. So what are some of like the most incredible transformations that you've seen happen while using plant medicine? There's a kitty. Anybody who's listening, she just had an orange cat who's fixing to make biscuits on the chair behind her. That's funny. The person that I interviewed yesterday, she's in Wales and I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. So there's like 4 or 5 hour time difference. She's ahead. And her cats were warning her that it was an hour till feeding time. All during our call together. I only have dogs because we're not allowed to have cats. Half my house is allergic. And frankly, I do not miss changing a litter box at all. Yeah. I think you can tell a lot about a person. I can always tell if you're neurodivergent or not based on how your animal behaves, because a neurodivergent person has a relationship with their animals. You have a style of communication. You have layers of expectations for this behavior gets this behavior, that sort of stuff. And I've even noticed in our house, because I'm so low demand living, that sort of stuff, that the words that I use are anti-demand. So like if I hear one of my dogs chewing their paws or something like that, or like one is hiding in my room and I'm like, I bet that the one thing that you'll hear me yell all the time is, if you're chewing paw, you're in trouble, right? That's like, I'm not saying anyone's name. I'm giving you ample time to stop doing it and not get busted. I'm not saying that you're a bad dog for doing it. I'm just simply saying, like, if this is what's happening, this is the sequence. And I said it the other day while I was on campus at the Neurospicy Academy. We live in a 1,300 square foot historical home that we love. But obviously, everybody can hear my microphone, whether I'm in the kitchen, whether I'm in the living room. If I've gone to pee before and I've laughed really hard and people heard me. So it's one of those things where like I said the thing and then I heard people laughing in my headphones because they were like, do you realize the way that you speak to your animals? And I was, now I do. Yes. Do you know her zodiac sign? There you go. That's funny. The more that I come to learn birth charts specifically and how they can correspond with our energy levels and our personality and our mood, right? Like I use it as a tool with my clients so that we can understand what parts are not going to change and then what parts can change, especially, like what's kind of just always going to be this way, right? And so my husband is a Gemini sun with a Virgo moon. And my soul dog, Clyde, is a Gemini. We know that for sure, but we don't know his moon sign. Based on the way he behaves, even my husband says he's got to be a Virgo moon. I'm like, I said, every dog could be judgmental and critical and like have an idea that was better than mine. But alas, here we are. Yeah. Yeah. She's Sagittarius. She's got to run the show. Yeah. And that's unmasking too. There's so much going around on social media too of like, and Meg the Stallion says it really good too of like, I'm not going to speak in a room full of people that don't like me. I'm going to go to a different room. That one like mentally assaulted me. It was a personal attack when I heard that. Yeah. 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 It's so incredible too, because like now that I've done so much work and now that I understand what my mask was, what my trauma responses are. And somebody came up with, there's a couple therapists that are talking about this on social media, and I don't remember what their new words for it is, but I interviewed one of them on my podcast. So I'll reach out to her after and put it in the show notes. Instead of calling it a trauma response, which makes it sound terrible and makes it sound like something we have to fix, she wants to call it like an appreciation response or something like that, because that's what got you through this. This was the good thing that happened, right? Whether it was, fawning or fight or flight, whatever your response was to it, that was your way of getting through this. That's something that we need to be angry about. That's something we need to honor. Yeah. 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 And, I'm not an expert in addiction. I do have experience with it. I have not had alcohol since November of last year. And it literally just happened overnight. I woke up one morning and I was hungover and I could barely remember the night before. And it was just a night out with my husband and my best friend, and no reason to have blacked out and not remembered it, right? It wasn't like I had 9 million drinks and was raging, but it was my body's way of telling me, like, we don't want this anymore. Like, this did serve us. And I woke up and I was hungover and I wanted to start work really early, but I didn't have it in me because of how I was, because of the nerve. And I literally just had this space and moment that said, this doesn't serve me anymore. I love my early mornings. I love my freedom. That's why I started my business in the first place. And how can I continue to coach people on how to be their most productive and motivated and consistent self if I'm making these poor choices? But it came in the moment of, I'm so grateful that I had this tool and it got me through all of the things that it got me through. I was raised by heavy drinkers in a family of heavy drinkers. The lifestyle was heavy drinking all the time. It was every time everybody got together, drinking was expected. And it all came together in one moment where I just said, I don't want that anymore. And I started pursuing, because I'm not sober. But when I had that realization of, alcohol is literally the thing that lets me hang out with people that overstimulate me, in places that overstimulate me, in a scene and scenario that would normally get me overwhelmed. And it helps me lower my fences enough to be that cool, raging, awesome, loud, dancey girl that everybody wants and always says whatever's on her mind. It gave me the excuse to be able to do that. So in turn, my vision and view of sobriety and addiction is, when we're drinking or we're doing heroin or whatever it is, your choice is, that taps you out completely from your reality, that's escapism from unhealed trauma, right? But when you're pursuing a natural plant medicine, right? So I'm a big proponent of kava. I use kava regularly. I have seen and heard really good things about kratom as well. And I'm like, oh, okay, not the stuff you buy at the gas station. Kratom has helped my body pain. I didn't even realize how much pain I was always in until I was able to take something that made it go away. And I was like, oh, shit, because we gaslight ourselves. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Anyone? Wim Hof? And Julia, even though we know that he had appropriated that from indigenous peoples, but we also know that that's the case with anything that we get over here in the Western world. I use traditional Chinese medicine. I mean, it's all, yeah, yeah. Because that's a short trip, right? Like, that is a short journey. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think if people could really understand, or ask them this is a question that I ask myself constantly, and then I get my clients to ask themselves, is, who benefits from this, right? So if we think about the structures that are in place and the systemic structures that are in place, I don't want to go too far. FBI diet, take your lunch break. But if we really think about it, the people that benefit from the entire system in the Western world benefit from us being unwell, period, point blank, from every aspect that we can look at it, right? So I am a firm believer in taking natural, holistic, deep, open-minded approach to improving your negative neurospicy symptoms, right? So we all know people with ADHD and people that are autistic, and anybody who identifies as neurodivergent. Our main issues are with the 8 executive functions. You can Google that. I'll make sure it's in the show notes, because I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, because one of those executive functions is working memory, and my working memory is shot because of I don't know, so many things, but I also am learning about my dyslexia, my dyscalculia, my ADHD, my autism. I have the persistent drive for autonomy autism, so don't fucking tell me what to do. I'm also finding out about my MCAS, so my mast cell activation syndrome. POTS, I'm now finding out that I have. PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis. So when I tell you, I can list out my alphabet soup diagnosis, and I doubt them. And I say, there's no fucking way, bitch. And my dead mom gets in my ear and is like, there's no way you have all that. Maybe you do have all that. Maybe I had some of that too. And that's why I had all the problems that I had. And maybe it's all connected. And maybe we could do this. Maybe we could just give ourselves a little fucking grace. So when you have somebody go on a journey with you at one of your retreats, or somebody sign up for coaching with you, what is the life cycle or the patterns that they can really expect? Like, what situation is somebody dealing with when they find you and decide to work? Yeah. 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 Wow. So much radical transformation in such a short period of time. I mean, my spiritual awakening was wild. It got really kicked off in April of 2020 when my mom died after her 18-month battle with stage 4 head and neck cancer. Don't smoke ciggies, guys. And just so everybody knows, I don't work with anybody who uses tobacco products or nicotine products. It is completely unnecessary. It is completely designed to make you sick. And if you want to work on your mindset, but you can't even decide that you're better off without that stuff and that you're worthy of not poisoning your body in that way, then I can't help you. Plus, I mean, if you want to know what your life being destroyed and like my mom had to get all of her teeth pulled and removed before she died and was never even able to get her dentures fitted because we had to argue with the people that were doing all that. So like when you talk deterioration, look up people that have head and neck cancer from a lifetime of drinking and smoking. It's not ideal. It is not fantastic. Like when she got diagnosed, the doctor instantly said the word hospice. And she said, no, that's not going to happen to me. And she rallied for 18 months. But then when the end came, it came quick, hard, and fast. And it was everything shut down in Florida in mid-March. And that's when she had started being in the hospital pretty consistently. And then in April, when she died, I continued to play my role in the family of being the muscle that gets shit taken care of. Like I had to say, no, we're all getting in there in the ER when they weren't letting anybody in the ER. And then, no, we're all getting in her hospice room when nobody was allowed to go in hospice. I said, no, fuck no, we're getting in here. We're doing that. But it triggered a spiritual awakening that I wasn't even aware could happen between my dark nights of the soul and all the terms that are out there and whatnot. Again, I'm not very big on labels or whatnot, but it was months being wild because we had nothing to do because we were all shut down. Really realizing I remember her dying and me saying, well, then what role am I supposed to play now? If it's just my dad and my sister and me, am I allowed to just go do what I want to do and I don't have to sacrifice myself and take care of everybody else? Is that okay? And then I realized I was the scapegoat. And then I realized I was this. And then I realized this. And it continues to grow and change and evolve as I continue to grow and change and evolve. But really, the one thing that I learned is that you have to be in a growth mindset and you have to assume the best instead of assuming the worst, right? Like you have to trust your motherfucking gut, right? So, like me with the guy at the gas station, I'm not just going to sit there and go, how you do know this guy's nefarious? He doesn't have good fucking ideas, and he's looking to see if I'm an idiot, and he can pull one over on me. And then he figures out, no, pink hair, but not a fucking idiot. Get over it, right? But when it comes to people on their spiritual journey and the transformation that they get from doing the plant medicine, it seems like it really speeds it up. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. How old are you? I'm 37. I feel like if we would have known each other in high school, we would have partied. So, quick background check. You tell your part, I'll tell my part. I was a 30-year-old when I was 16. I was the youngest of two daughters. My sister and I are both millennials, and my parents are both boomers. So there was a lot of confrontation in the house because of the different mindsets and expectations. I was definitely one of those elder millennials that was raised, you can do anything, you can do all the things. And then I look back on my life and I'm like, parents put me in all the sports and they put me into marching band and did all, but they never showed up to any of my stuff. Like, I really remember, like, them never showing up to any of the stuff, that I remember them being like, I don't care if you go have a sleepover with your friends. No, I don't want to talk to their parents. I don't want to drive you there, get a ride, do all this shit. And now I'm like, I go to my kids' rooms every day and like, so who are your friends? What do they do? When are we going to hang out? Do you want to have them over? Am I going to drop you off over there? Are they going to have a parent there? What's going on? I'm tracking you on your cell phone, even when you're at the house. When I tell you that I lived a life from the age of 15 to the age of 19, when I met my husband while we were working at Hooters together. And I heard him yell food up. I was still a hostess. I still had my white shorts. So for anybody who knows the Hooters background, like I do, I was still in my white shorts. And I was up by the front door and I heard this guy yell, food up, bitches. And I just went, that was a meerkat moment. I remember my whole body went, what? And I laid my eyes on him and I went, happening. And he's 8 years older than me. And I started going after him. I was like, when are we going to hang out? And he was like, I really want you to leave me alone. I don't want to, I want you to get away from me. I don't want to do this, la, la, la. And we ended up finally hanging out and became inseparable since. But he was signed up for delayed entry into the Navy when we started dating. So we had 7 months together and then he went into the Navy. So we had been living together, doing everything together, and we weren't even married and engaged when he went to the Navy. What I knew, I was like, this guy is my ticket to being able to do the things that I want to do, not financially or anything like that, but like, I knew our partnership was like what I signed up for in this life. It's the only way that I can explain it. And it made my teenage years, being 16, dating a 20-year-old, being 17, dating a fucking 23-year-old and whatnot. I look back on it now and I go, Jesus Christ, thank God my spirit guides are so strong. And thank God they got me through so many treacherous moments that I didn't even realize were treacherous at the time as an undiagnosed ADHD autistic girl running around. But now I find myself being a 16-year-old in a 37-year-old's body. And I'm like, what are we supposed to do now? And I think that is so relevant to both who you work with and who I work with, of like, we really have been the person that supports people and never had people that support us. And now we're coming into our own, we're running our businesses, we're getting healthy, we're taking care of ourselves. Self-care is number one. And we have to now be open to help from other people. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yep. If we can really tap into our intuition and strengthen our connection with our higher self, with God, with source, with the universe, with your spirit guides, whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? Then you really do transform your life and your business, right? So like I always tell people, I would rather trust my gut and be wrong, but that's never happened yet, than go do something that I know is not right and have it blow up in my fucking face, right? And like as an entrepreneur, you've got to make quick decisions. You can't agonize over shit, right? We cannot sit here and go, especially as you're building a team and your company is growing and whatnot. Everything is for the higher, greater good. We know that. But we also have to be focused on what's going to work for my energy, what's going to work for my profits, what's going to work for my audience, what's going to do, that sort of thing. I spent about 6 months completely redesigning and repositioning my coaching company, my coaching business, as I was building up the Neurospicy Academy with my business partner, Christina. And my ADHD brain thinks that everything is going to take 5 minutes or 20 minutes. I have no concept of anything else. So I literally was like, because people say, oh my God, how do you do all the stuff that you do? And I go, my brain lies to me and says, it's only going to take 20 minutes. Just go do it. And then I get wrapped in it. And then months later I go, wait, holy shit, what did we just do? Oh my God, time is not real. Yeah. It's like really just, we can break things down. We can do things in a chronological order, or we can simply trust ourselves to make the right choices. And like I had one of my clients, we've really been working on her intuition, and she had what she thought was like a breakout happening, like a big cystic cray owie happening. And she's like, I mean, that can't have been kind of stressed, but like intuitively, her brain and body said, take oatmeal baths. And she was taking oatmeal baths. And when she got to the doctor, guess what it was? Poison ivy from cleaning out her backyard or whatever the fuck she was doing. And she intuitively knew how to fix it. Yeah. 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 They just switched. Yeah. Yeah. Never. Absolutely not. And I'm actually kind of the queen of reverse engineering things. So like my business partner and I, Christina, when we can a new product or service or whatever it is, her favorite part is the brainstorming and all the possibilities. And we could do this. And if she could stay in any part of any part of the process of coming up with a new service or product, that would be where she stays. I like that just fine, but I like the action. I like to see it come to fruition, right? I've opened multiple restaurants for other people, and I love that idea of like, this is the concept. What it turned into, like, that is the part where I really shine and thrive. So together, our partnership has just been fantastic because she likes to go off the rails and have the tangents and whatnot. And I like to say, okay, let's get this train back on the tracks. And it works so perfectly. And so like, we're working on this new quick start for the Neurospicy Academy, which will be out by the time this episode's out. We have been conceptualizing for a very long time. And what happens is we get to this moment where I'm very happy with all the ideas and I'm ready to put it in action. And she starts talking about a whole new project. And I go, now it's time to take the action. Now it's time to take the action. Again, I have to wait till she gets to that moment so that her brain can recognize what she's doing and know that it's also one of her self-sabotaging techniques to never fail, because if you never make it happen, then it can never fail. Whereas my self-sabotaging is launching things, and then instead of fixing them and reiterating them and editing them, I just go on to the next thing. Because I'm like, well, I like that topic, but I learned everything about it. Now I want to go learn about something else. Yeah. Like, yeah. If you're on my email list, how many times do I send you an email that has a link that doesn't work or there's a misspelling somewhere? I'm never going to get a your wrong. I promise you that. But if a misspelling escapes the spell check, that's not my fault. Clearly, you know what I was saying. Okay. Amanda, before I let this go, please let everybody know where they can find you. It'll also be in the show notes, and whatever words of wisdom that you want to leave our audience with to ponder after they've listened to this incredible episode. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. And there's never really any failures if you're focused on learning and moving forward, you know? Yeah, failure just says you didn't go according to the right plan. That's all. Excellent. I'm so glad to have you on my show. Thank you so much for being here. And I will continue to be your cheerleader and your champion on social media. And to everybody that's listening, I love you all equally and for different reasons. And I want you to do your research and take care of yourself. And we'll see you again here real soon. Okay, bye.